So welcome again. I'm going to do this video about the Leaving Cert and the Junior Cert, what is known as the state exams. So the state exams take place this time of the year. Um, Probably I think it's on Wednesday, which is I think the day after tomorrow. And they go on for the most of the month of June, and unusual subjects like technical drawing and applied mathematics and things are at the end of the month. But the standard subjects, you get through them by, I suppose, by the 20th anyway, by the 20th of June. And it's a time of great pressure for families if a child is doing the Leaving Cert. The Leaving Cert is the exam you do when you leave secondary school. That's why it's called the Leaving Cert. I'm holding up here a mathematics paper for, this is really for the junior cycle or the junior cert, which is after 3 years, after doing 3 years in secondary school, you do junior cert, which is a test, I suppose, of how well you're getting on, and then you concentrate on certain subjects afterwards for another 2 years or so. The Leaving Cert is very highly rated as a touchstone of how good somebody is and how suitable they would be to go to college and to pursue academic studies, if you like. Um, but many people nowadays don't pursue academic studies. They go for apprenticeships in electricity to become an electrician, maybe to become a plumber, to become a mechanic, to become a panel beater, and I'm sure there's many other apprenticeships as well. Or maybe somebody might pursue something like the army, go into the army and you get special training there, especially those who are academically inclined. You get special training there, and you can train as something through the army as well. People maybe go into the Gardaí as well, and they get certain training there too. And there are many other different approaches you can take, kind of vocational approaches. And I suppose being a priest, just talking about the priesthood as well. When I went on for the priesthood in 1980, quite a few people in Ireland went on to become priests and went on to pursue that vocation. Nowadays, there are fewer and fewer people doing that, but still, occasionally you get people. But they tend to be older people. They tend to be in their 30s or their 40s or their 50s. Some of them may be in their 60s. They rarely are in their teenage years, 18, 19, like when I went. So the Leaving Cert and the Junior Cert are a lot of pressure for a child, a lot of pressure for the parents. Often the mother worries about the child. Sometimes the child is a high achiever, they want to get top marks and everything, and they want to get very high qualifications in the Leaving Cert so they can do medicine maybe, or veterinary, or pharmacology, pharmacy. There's certain I suppose courses you can pursue in college which require a very good result in the Leaving Cert, so you have to work very hard to get high marks and so on. Then people do things like arts degrees, science degrees, a degree in business, a degree in accounting, a degree in law maybe, or economics, or whatever it might be. So there's many options open to people nowadays. And in school there are career guidance teachers who help the child to pick a particular career, pick a course in college. So the Leaving Cert exams are high pressure, and there's a variety of subjects. You might do 7, and then the best of those, you could do 8, I suppose, and pick the best of the best 7 that you get, the highest marks that you get out of 7 of them, to go on to college and so on. But the Leaving Cert can be overrated because some people are not academically inclined and yet they do very well in life. So it doesn't follow that just because somebody gets a bad Leaving Cert that their life is going to be a failure. And also those who get a good Leaving Cert, it isn't a guarantee that their life will be a great success. We need other qualities apart from academic achievements to make a success of life. So it's important to remember that. It's also important to remember that a person who pursues academic studies and does further exams later on will have an even more high pressure exam at some stage. For example, somebody going on to be a doctor, their final exams, they're often oral exams, They used to say that you're expected to know about 1,000,000 pieces of information for your final exams to be a doctor. And to keep 1,000,000 pieces of information in your head is actually quite an achievement. But they would say that the hardest one is veterinary, because if you think of it, the human being is the only thing that the doctor studies, the human body and the conditions and the diseases of the human body and so on. Whereas a vet is supposed to know about all kinds of animals, several different types of animals: cats, dogs, sheep, horses, cattle. And nowadays people have pets like tortoises, snakes, and God knows what else. Birds of different kinds as pets as well. So the vet has probably the hardest final exam of anyone doing any academic exams at the end. So there are harder exams really than the Leaving Cert. The problem with the Leaving Cert is that you're doing a number of subjects that you probably don't really like. You might like maths and English, but you mightn't like Irish and history and French or whatever. But you still have to do them. And of course, doing a subject you don't like, the motivation is not as great to do well in it. It's hard to do well in a subject you're not interested in, really. But you're obliged to do well in it, because if you don't, you won't get the qualification or the mark that you like. So we do pray today for all those people doing the Leaving Cert and doing the Junior Cert. And there's also people doing college exams, but they're usually over by now. Maybe in May they do them. And then you have people sitting something like a driving test, which is actually hard enough to pass for some people. There's the there's the there's the actual practical test of driving the car, but there's also where there's questions asked as well, and the theory as it's called. So people sometimes do private pilot's license tests to fly a plane, a very difficult exam as well, and many other different types of tests in their lives, and produce a lot of pressure, and a lot depends on them for going further on in their career. So we do pray for all those people doing all those different exams and tests. And every day, in a sense, is a test. Every day we're being tested on something, or patience, or our skills, or whatever it might be. So we do wish everybody well, and the families, we wish them well as well. And to do well and to study well for it, and then to get a good night's sleep, I think, beforehand is also very important. Some people stay up all night before an exam. It's not to be recommended, because you could fall asleep then actually doing it. So we pray that these students will do well. But I suppose a big thing to pray is that they will choose the career that will be suitable for them, and that will give them great happiness. There's nothing to beat being happy in the job that you do. And it's a question we can ask is, how many people are happy in the job that they're doing today? How many of you watching this video are happy in the job that you're doing? It's a good question to ask. And if you are happy, thank God, because there are many other people who wouldn't be particularly happy with the job they're doing. And that's not good, because in the job then, and the people they meet, they may not treat them well, or they may not show their happiness to them either. So those are all the other things to be thought about. So we ask God to bless those doing the Leaving Cert and the Junior Cert, that they will rest beforehand and get a good night's sleep, and that they will remember what they've studied and not be too nervous. Some people are a bundle of nerves, which doesn't help either. So we wish them all well, and please God the results will be good. Thank you very much. Good night.